I just couldn't wait to make something in Blender. There's only so much of that let's learn navigation, tools, and shortcut keys that you can take. My approach is going to be to find a little project that I can actually do and sneak in shortcut keys, menu options, and more navigation. We'll see how long this method works before I decide to change my mind. And welcome back to Blender for the rest of us. In this video, I'm going to try to use the edit mode for the first time to make a headstone. As the family genealogist, I have a lot of pictures of headstones, so I don't believe I'm that creepy. It also seems fairly straightforward. First of all, I want to go back to Edit, and then Preferences, and then go down to this little box right here that says Emulate 3-button mouse. And I'm going to click that, and in that way I can now Alt left click, which seems to give me a smoother thing that I used to have. So I'm going to do Alt and left click, and then I can move this around like that. So this is smoother than I have been when I've tried to use the middle button. I've been having a lot of trouble using the middle button to do much of anything. And I think the problem is, I thought it was me because that's what I always think. But I think the problem is my mouse for whatever reason. So I'm going to try to use the Alt left click to do something like that and see what that does. Now, there is the gizmo. So you can go up here and you can rotate everything by using the gizmo like that. And the middle button, which I always have trouble with, let's see if it works. Oh well, it works today, but see how it kind of sticks a little bit. And then there's the Alt left and click, so you do you. Whichever one is easier for you, that's the one you can stick with. I'm going to try to learn all three, but I have a feeling that I'm going to be using the Alt click an awful lot, at least until I change my mind. Now, I want to delete the camera right away because we're not going to be using them. This lighting and this camera, I don't want it in the way. So I'm going to click on it, and then all I have to do is to X and delete it. And it says delete. Yeah, we do want to do that. Or what you can do, you can go up here and select it, and it'll do the same thing, and then hit X. And then, yes, we want to delete it. So now we're rid of the camera and the light. When I've been practicing this, since I'm not using them at all right now, all they seem to be doing is getting in the way. Now, to pan across the scene, you can use the Shift scroll wheel, and I'm going to try to do that. I don't use that very often. Shift and scroll wheel. And that doesn't work very well for me. It's kind of jumpy. That's the way it feels when I do it. But if you try it and it works for you, go ahead. Or you can do Shift Alt and then left click, and then it'll move like that. Or you can use the little hand and just move it like that, whichever is easier. I'm going to continue to try out all three as I go through, and probably just one of them is going to click, so that might be the one I'm going to stick with. Now, I don't mind telling you, this takes some getting used to for a noob like me, so we'll see. At this point, I'm going to use the Alt left click to rotate the scene, the scroll wheel to zoom in or zoom out, Shift Alt and left click to pan for now, until I forget what I'm doing. Right now I'm in the object mode. You can see that right here at the top left, that's where you can see it. We can't do anything in this mode. We can go into, since we can't do any editing, there's another mode we can get to. And to get to this, I can click on my object, and then I'm going to hit the Tab key. Now watch up in the left corner what happens. I go from object to edit mode, and then I have all these handy dandy tools down here that I can do all my editing with. If I want to go back, then I just hit Tab again. All those tools will disappear, and then we're back in the object mode with the associated tools that we can use in the object mode. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fiddle with the cube. There are whole lots of shapes that we can bring in, but right now it's going to be a cube. Since it's easy to make a headstone out of the cube, that's the first thing I'm going to do. So I'm going to keep this default cube and make it out of that. And then while I'm in the object mode and the cube selected, I'll just press S for scale. I'm going to keep my cursor out here, S for scale, and then I'm going to select Y because the scaling or the size is going to go along the Y axis. Then if I move my cursor, if I move my mouse, and it doesn't have to be clicked on or anything, I'm just moving the mouse, I can change the size of it. And then I click down and that will keep that shape. Then if I go scale and then Z, and you see here's the Z axis, then I can move my mouse again and make the size of the base that I want. So that's how I get the base. Now what I need to do is to move over to the edit mode. So with that selected, and watch up here what happens, I'm going to click tab and then I go in the edit mode. Now in the edit mode there are three little boxes up here. There is this box which says they're the vertices, the vertices, in which you can select any one of these corners right here. Then right here there's the edge, and you can select each one of these edges right here. Then over here there are the faces, where you can select each one of these faces. Right now I'm going to select the top face, so I'm going to put that over here and I'm going to click, and that's going to select my face. Okay, now I need to make an indentation in the face for where I'm going to put the part of the headstone that you can read. So I'm going to select the face and then I'm going to press I. That stands for inset. So now I'm clicking I, and then, well, maybe I better click out here. I'm going to click I, make sure face is selected, and then I'm going to click I for inset, and then make sure your mouse is outside, and then I'm going to make this the size that I want the face of my headstone to be. I have the face already. So once I get the size I want, I'm going to click it and that will select it. So it pretty much selected like this inset face inside my base. So now I'm going to press E, and that stands for extrude. Extrude means you're either going to pull it in or pull it out. So here I select E, and then it gives me that I'm going to extrude along the Z. So I'm just going to pull this up and until I get the size of the headstone I want. Then I'm going to click, and presto, I have my first headstone. So this is a very simple way to do a headstone. And if you want to see what it looks like, make sure you have the headstone selected, and we do. And if you want to make sure you have it selected over here, notice that it's selected in this scene collection menu right over here. So if I press tab, then I'll go back into object mode, click out of it, and there's our headstone. So you can see what our headstone really looks like. So I'm going to click on the headstone, and then I'm going to move my mouse out here. Then I'm going to press down G, and that stands for grab, and I can grab it and move it out of the way. So all I did was with my mouse outside, with that selected, my mouse outside, I clicked on G and I drug the mouse over here, and then I clicked again, and here we are. Okay, now I want to make another headstone. That's why I wanted to get that out of the way. This is going to be a little bit more involved, not a lot more involved. I just want to show you a few more things. And so I need another cube. And so the point of this was, if you're just sitting here, what if you want to add another cube? Well, you can do it a lot of different ways. Here we can add one from here. Or what we can do is we can go up here to add, and then go and add a cube from here, right there. Or we can do a shortcut. And I'm going to show you the shortcut. So I'm going to go Shift A, and then it's going to give me a mesh, and then I'm going to go down to cube and then press cube, and it will place my cube right here. Now for this headstone, I want to do kind of the same thing on the base that I did before. So I'm going to make sure I'm in object mode and that it's selected. I'm going to go S and then Y and then pull it out, click it so I can click off. Notice it's still selected. See, it's cube 001 now. You can rename them if you want, but in this case, I'm not sure that it even matters if you do that. So I'm going to press scale again, and then I want to scale it along the Z-axis, so I'll press Z, and then I'm going to move my mouse around until I get the base I want, and there's my base. Now I want to make an inset and extrude out again, but this time I'm going to make a cross. So we need to make sure that our cube is selected, this one right here, and then I want to click Tab so that, come on, why aren't we selecting? Well, if that doesn't work, oh, I'm already in edit mode, that's why. Okay, so I'll click Tab, or down here, if you're having some issues, you can go down to this menu. So there are two ways to do that. I probably should have showed you that before. So we need to make sure we're in edit mode, because what we want to do is we want to hit I for inset again. So I'm going to hit I, and then I'm going to, well, wait a minute. I need to select a face. So we need to select the face first, and then I'm going to, so make sure face is selected up here and edit, and then I want to select the face, otherwise it doesn't know what you're doing. And now we can select the eye, and now we can, and select the inset. I'm going to make this inset pretty small like this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it around to where I can see it on the top right there. I'm using the gizmo to do it right now. And so now that I've turned it around, I can see it on the top. And this is the part I'm interested in. I want this to be a square. So I'm going to go S, and that for scale, and Y, and then I'm going to move it in until I get more of a square. And then I'm going to click down, and then I'm going to move it back up again. Okay, I could have alt left clicked it too, but I just didn't do that. Okay, so now I have this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go E. I have my mouse out here. We're in edit mode. We've got the right thing selected. E for extrude, and then I'm going to extrude it up, and then I'm going to click. Then I'm going to press E again and extrude it up a little bit, and click, and then I'm press E again, and then I'm going to extrude it up, and then click. And now we're done. Now there's a reason that we have three of these. I have this, I have this, and I have this. And the reason for that is because I want to select these two sides, and I'm going to be pulling them out to make a cross. So to do that, I'm going Alt this time instead of the gizmo. Alt, and I'm left clicking my mouse to turn it, and then I'm going to click that, and I'm going to Alt, turn it around to turn it, and then I'm going to go Shift, click on the other side, and then I'm going to turn it around a little bit so we can see both of them come out. Now what I'm going to do is I want to do something that's called extrude through normals. So to get that, I want to go Alt and then E for extrude, and I get this little menu, and right here it says extrude faces along normals. So I click that down, and then I pull it out, and until I get the cross I want, and then I click that down again, and now I have my cross the way I want it. So in order to get the cross, I extruded this up to here and then stopped and then pressed E and extruded it this much again, and then stopped and clicked and then pressed E and extruded that, and then I had what looks like 3 pieces. Then I shift select that face, shift select that face, and make sure that you're in this mode so you have the right faces selected. And then I went to extrude through normals, and to do that I went Alt E and extrude through normals, and then I was able to pull these pieces of the cross out to make sure that they were both the same size. Now you can first select this and pull it out, and do this and pull it out, but that's a lot more complicated, and you're probably not going to get them to be the same size. So now I have all of these selected, and in order to see what this looks like, I have my cube, and then I'm going to tab out. I went to tab, so now I'm back in object mode, and you can click off of it, and then you can see what your headstone with the cross looks like. So I made 2 simple headstones. I made one like this, and then I made one with a cross over it. So no fuss, no muss headstone. In both of these cases, this one's just a little bit more involved because you're extruding out 2 things at the same time. Okay, so there you go, a headstone with a cross. So here are my 2 examples of headstones that I learned to do so far. The hardest part about all this for me is moving around the 3D space with my mouse. So I'm still trying to get a handle on that. I may need more practice, or maybe my mouse is wonky, I don't know which it is. In this video, I illustrated how to change the size of a cube. I started operating in the edit mode for the first time and illustrated how to scale, extrude, and make a face within a face using the inset tool, which is I. You can also get the inset tool over here. Let me go down in edit mode. There's the inset tool is also, there's bevel. Here's the inset faces. So if you wanted to use an inset using the toolbar over here, then that's fine. Okay, so you can either use the shortcut keys. I think the shortcut keys are easier, which is amazing coming from someone that really has a habit of not using shortcut keys. I also illustrated how to extrude faces at the same time so you can keep them the same size. And as an aside, if you want to really learn something, it's a good idea to just try and teach it. That's what I always think, and that's what's making me learn this. So I'm proud of myself that I got this far. So follow along as I try to get a handle on this program. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay informed when my next video drops. And if you're so inclined, buy me a coffee by clicking on the link in the description and going out to my website. I post sometimes there, although I haven't done that for a while.